Oh, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content. We're back. We're doing a stream. We usually stream on a Sunday. International break. Why should it be different? I do like to use these international breaks to kind of try and, I don't know, experiment with content a little bit, try some new things out. Sometimes behind the scenes, sometimes they come to your screens. I'm a poet and I didn't even realise it. So guys, we're going to be doing some team ratings today. And this isn't like a wildcard team rating. This is just rating teams in general. And I'm hoping by rating some teams, no matter whether your team is getting rated or not, we might be able to get some good ideas for what we kind of want to do with our teams, what kind of directions we want to move our teams in, no matter who you are. So if this goes well, if you like this, we'll perhaps do it again. We'll perhaps try and do it more often. I don't know about every week, but I mean, there may be a way we can do this every week. And if so, fantastic. So yeah, let me know if you do like this kind of thing by dropping a like. That's probably the easiest way to do that. Feel free to leave a comment, or if you're in the chat, tell me if you're watching this live as well. But the way we're going to do this is we're going to use Fantasy Football Hub, because I think that's just the best way to do it. It's the best way to kind of plan your team moving forward, get some suggestions, use your own brain here and kind of analyze what you can see in front of you. I just think it's the best way. So if you want your team rated instantly, you can use the link at the top of the description to get that instant team rating, particularly if you're not watching this live. But we are going to rate some teams, and the way we're going to do it is we're going to grab your team IDs. We're going to grab some team IDs from you guys watching live, and we're going to throw them into Fantasy Football Hub and see what you got, and we're going to see what you're working with. So feel free to in the chat now. I think we'll get started pretty swiftly. Feel free to leave your team ID in the chat, and yeah, do that. Right, let's get crack-a-lacking then, because I'm ready to go. And by the way, if you don't know how to find your team ID, go on the browser mode of FPL, so not the app. So you can either go on the FPL website on your mobile browser or on a desktop device. Either way works fine. Then go to your, what's it called, season history page. Let me just see what's it called. Gameweek history. So if you click on the Gameweek history, your team ID should be in the URL, the string of numbers in the URL. That is how you find it. Hopefully that all makes sense. So let's start. Let's grab someone's ID from the chat and let's start rating it, I suppose. So how are we going to do that? Like, let's refresh the hub page, and I can see people already spamming their IDs. So we're just gonna grab a random ID from the chat, and if this is you, 24553, I feel like I'm a I don't know, a raffle announcer. 24553, come and claim your prize. Oh wait, I put it in the wrong section, so you need to go in the ID section. Come on down and claim your prize. And by the way, guys, you can stop spamming your IDs just for the second, because for at least another few minutes, I'm not going to be picking any more IDs, because we're going to have a look at this first team. And this is from Echon Ch, and Echon Ch's team. And this team clearly wildcarded recently, right? I mean, this team is wildcarded very recently. This team might have been wildcarded Game Week 7. This is a Game Week 7 wildcard team, guys. This is a fantastic team, an absolutely fantastic team for the long term. Now, Triple Arsenal may struggle a little bit during this run of fixtures coming up in the next 4, because it's Triple Arsenal. But you have no doubt players like Saka can get a result there. I think you maybe get two clean sheets in 4 if you're fortunate, but you might be quite fortunate to get 2 clean sheets in this next 4 with that double Arsenal defence. But after that, it looks great. And we can kind of see through Arsenal's fixtures in the slightly longer term. It looks really good. From 12 all the way to 23, there's, you would say maybe Man United, Spurs and Aston Villa are the most difficult fixtures in that run. And they're all home games. And even those fixtures, could be pretty good. One minor issue potentially is that Saka potential injury, and because you already have Palmer, it is going to be a little bit of a struggle to find an adequate replacement for Saka if he is injured. But here's the latest on Saka. So it was apparently kind of a little touch and go whether he was going to be available for today's game, because he felt some tightness. So I don't think it is a big injury necessarily. I just think, he was kind of feeling something, thought, probably better not to risk him for the second game. Let's send him back to the mighty Arsenal. And given that Arsenal are, the whole Premier League is not playing for another week, I would imagine that Saka is probably going to be fine for Bournemouth away. That said, I don't think that automatically means you need to keep him because of the bad fixture run. Now, if we were looking for a Saka replacement, honestly, I'm not sure where we would go. I mean, the one player that I like at the moment who is not in this team is perhaps Brennan Johnson. There's a big difference in price there. So maybe a double transfer move could work well. But given this team is probably just wildcarded, I don't know if there is any more transfers available than one. But yeah, I think this, in a worst case scenario, Saka's out for 1 week, play Delap instead, So that works well as well. This team is fantastic. Genuinely, well done, my friend. You cooked. You've absolutely cooked with this team. It looks brilliant. I love it. But it is pretty obvious you're wildcarded recently, so maybe that is why. But we'll move on to the next team. And we're going to pick again randomly from the chat. Has anyone got a really low ID? In the next 20 seconds, whoever has the lowest team ID is going in. And if you just type in 1, then obviously it's not going to be you. These are not very these are not very low IDs. These are pretty high numbers. Ilam, your number is reasonably low. 21769. Come on down. Come on down and collect your prize. There isn't any prize. The prize is me talking about your team for a few seconds, I suppose. Steve, your ID is pretty low as well. We'll do yours next. Right. Okay, so this team has a potential issue with Sells. What's the latest on Sells? Actually, I checked this like 2 days ago, so I probably don't need to do it again, unless there's been an update that anyone knows about. But Sells withdrawn from the Belgium squad. I don't think the injury is serious, though, so I think you probably just keep him rather than making a transfer. If it's not serious and we don't get any information in the press conference, you see this run of the next 3 fixtures, and you probably do want to keep a Forest goalkeeper for this, so probably not worth a transfer. Even if he doesn't play for 1 week, I think I'd rather just have no goalkeeper for 1 week than make a transfer there, to be honest. But outside of that, we've got a 4-4-2 formation. We've got less than nothing on the bench. Really, really weak bench. Unfortunately, Saliba instead of Gabriel, but I mean, small difference. Robinson's still in here as well. It's not bad. It's not a bad team. The Salah, Saka, Haaland obviously costs a fair bit of money. And one concern I do have is that defenders typically aren't scoring too well at the moment. So I wonder if it is worth, particularly if you have some transfers going, maybe making some kind of double move. You can maybe do something like, if you think Saka's going to be a risk this week, you could do something like Saka and we go for a forward here. I'm going to go for a forward here. To a Mbermo, because there's no Mbermo in this team. And pick a new forward. Can we afford Solanke? Not quite. Maybe that does change things a little bit. Cunha's good after this game week, but maybe you just go in on him 1 week early. To be fair, like this double transfer move, you can maybe make it next week. So let's just reset here. So what we'll do is we'll no transfer in game week 8, game week 9. Obviously we've got players like Salah and Saka. Oh, actually, I've got a better idea. What if we did in next week a triple transfer to resolve the bench issue and to resolve the having to play 4 defenders issue, and go Palmer, Solanke, and Solanke can then move to Jackson in game week 12 when Solanke plays against City and Chelsea play against, who is it? Leicester away. So that will be a good move in 12. But for now, 8.9 for another midfielder, and Burma is your guy. So a triple transfer next week would work really, really nicely. You wouldn't have to play you wouldn't have to play Robinson every week anymore. You got that little bit of bench cover now, and that resolves the team, I think. I like that. Consider your team fixed. It's not bad. It's not bad. One other minor issue is that there's kind of Rodgers price, and like a cheap Rodgers there. It would maybe be an idea for future game weeks, maybe to think about moving Bergvall up to. Semenyo looks pretty decent from 11, so maybe game week 11. Man, I'm going to town on this team, but I think we're really cooking here. Bergvall to Semenyo in 11, and that way you wouldn't have to play Rodgers against Liverpool, and you could play Semenyo against Brentford instead. Pretty decent, right? Pretty decent. That, as a little transfer strategy, a little transfer plan, works really well. Really well. Who was this ID that I copied and pasted a second ago? 5168. Come on down. Make yourself known in the chat. If that sounds like your number, come and claim your prize. Let's see what you got for me. It's a pretty template game week, like game week 6 wildcard team. No, maybe not, because there's only one Arsenal player. Has a wildcard even been used? Probably not, actually, because we've still got double Fulham and a lot of Brighton here. So I'm guessing, that we've probably got. I'd probably play Welbeck instead of Rodgers. This team is probably not wildcarded yet, but there's Flecken in goal. Steve, have you wildcarded yet, my friend? Let me know. Steve Wheeler, that's whose team this is. I'm very curious to know, because I can't quite get my head around this team. One thing that is definitely missing is some Spurs. So I'd like to see a Solanke, I'd like to see a Johnson in here somewhere. How you do that is a little more difficult, because obviously we're super cheap everywhere because of the Salah, Saka, Haaland combination. And I don't really know how we get any Spurs in here, save for, like, getting rid of Saka. So maybe this is a case of not making a transfer this week, because this team's fine for this week. As Steve said, wildcarded in game week 4. Okay, that makes sense. So no wildcard. So there are going to be some things that need to change. So next game week, we've got the likes of these Liverpool players facing against Arsenal. Can we hop on some Spurs at this point? Can you go for Palmer maybe? What if we did Salah to Palmer and then it's difficult to take Welbeck out ahead of the Wolves fixture. And then, obviously, difficult to take Calvert-Lewin out there. So, all right, maybe you just do that as a straight move. Then we can start spreading the funds a little bit, because there is a lot of money tied up here in that triple premium. And then game week 10, do we go for Solanke then against Aston Villa and Ipswich? Or is that a little too short term? Or do we cancel that a second? Do we maybe upgrade Smith Rowe? Don't think you really need to do that. Rodgers maybe, Spurs away, Liverpool away. Not going to want to play him too often during those fixtures. So can we go Rodgers up to Johnson? Maybe. Would that work? It's not a bad move. Got 2 free transfers. I don't know if I'd use them necessarily immediately. I don't think you need to use them this week. And then that would mean we can play Johnson instead of Welbeck for a couple of weeks. And then bring Welbeck back in when Johnson plays against City, and play Welbeck against Bournemouth instead. So there's just a couple of suggestions moving forward. of how that could potentially be fixed. It would be nice to have one more defender in there as well, but, you know, I just don't think defender transfers in general are worth it. So, perhaps not. But yeah, something like that. I like the look of it. Right. Let's bring out some more IDs. So, Sahil, member of the channel. We've got to prioritize our members today. We've got to do a few members. Channel members. So, this is Sahil's team 10035. Come on down. Let's see what we got. You guys seem to be liking this idea, by the way. I tell you what, if we get to the end of this stream and your team hasn't been rated, well, let's see if you like the stream as much then. So, Sahil's team is, again, it looks to me like that's a recent wild card. This looks like a Game Week 8, a Game Week 7 wild card. Can you confirm, Sahil, in the chat for me, when you wild carded, my friend? It looks, you know, pretty good in general, and not really too many suggested changes here. I mean, if you've just wildcarded, yeah, it's a good team. It's a good team. Obviously, you've got like Nori there for future game weeks. Wildcarded game week 4. Okay, so you wildcarded a while ago, and then you've been making slow changes since then, I suppose. Semenyo is a little bit of a short-term issue. I wonder if you could play Carvalho. Do you trust him? You've got Solanke, so you've got that cover there. Starboy McGee, thank you very much for becoming a member of the channel and straight in there with the team ID. Well, wow, not even hiding it. But mate, I respect the hustle. Yeah, not much to say about this team. This looks good. This looks good. You don't need me to help you out here. It's not perfect, but your team can't be perfect every week. And that's something you just have to accept. In general, there's a lot of strengths to this team. I think there's just a couple of poor fixture matchups this week, but from good players. So you've got like Sanchez, Palmer, Semenyo. Decent picks, but just a poor matchup this week. So you move to next week. And, you know, it's going to look a little different. It's going to look a little different because you've got Sanchez, Palmer, and Semenyo, and all have slightly better fixtures. Hey, that's pretty good. Even play Nori instead of Gabriel if you wanted to. Probably wouldn't do that personally. Starboy McGee says needs severe help. Okay, my friend, don't worry. I got you. I got you, fam. ID 1305. That is a low ID. Not as low as mine. Is it? All right. I tell you what, if anyone has a lower team ID than mine, I will rate your team immediately. Immediately. On the spot. But I'm not telling you what my team ID is. I will just say yes or no if you get it in the chat. I don't think any of you will. Right. there's only, well, I'll put it this way. There is less than 100 people in the world with a lower team ID than me. But anyway, looking at this team from Starboy McGee, he says he needs desperate help. I can see where he's coming from to a degree. But I think it could be worse. I mean, you've not used a wild card because if you had, you wouldn't have Paulson and Mascara on your bench. So you still have your wild card. Robert, my friend, that is Robert in the chat. I can tell you that is not your team ID. I can tell you for a fact that is not your team ID. You're a liar. You're a capper. I won't tell you how I know that. Anyway, well, actually I will, because it's my ID. Anyway, looking at this team, yeah, are we in wildcard territory? We're coming up towards wildcard territory with this team, because we've got a lot of poor matchups here. Jackson has poor matchups until game week 12. Liverpool have bad matchups for the next 2 game weeks. Arsenal have bad matchups 9 through 11, really. And you've got a lot of players in those kind of areas. So I see why there might be somewhat of a problem. Even Bowen, you know, these fixtures aren't great. Spurs, Man United, Forest, away. I'm not really... Yeah, not feeling it. I'm not feeling it, but how do we resolve it? Do we just go for a wild card now? Or can we fix this? Can we resolve this? How many free transfers, Starboy? How many free transfers right now? Because I think that will change things. Can we maybe get rid of like a Robertson and a Jackson? It's difficult, man. Jackson to Solanke works as an individual transfer. Robertson to Gvardiol works as an individual transfer as well. One free transfer, probably not worth doing two. Maybe just keep the Liverpool defence. Jackson to Solanke resolves one issue. Okay, but what you can do here is if you do like Jackson, get rid of him now for Solanke, and then Game Week 12 wildcard. I'm assuming you still have a wildcard based on what this team looks like. Real Madrid says, why are you rather Saka than Palmer, bro? This is just this guy's team, my friend. He chose Saka. And for the record, so did I. Saka's got a better game week this week, I would say. And, you know, we saw last game week, similar situation. Saka vastly outscored Palmer. Game week 7, I would say, there's a good chance that happens in 8 as well. After that, I think it will be a lot closer for a few weeks. Game week 12, Palmer is going to outscore Saka from that point. I can say that with a reasonable amount of confidence. But, you know, it's going to be about switching those players up from week to week. Anyway, yeah, I think if you've got one free transfer, Jackson to Solanke, and then the wild card comes into play game week 12 here. And just a refresh. Probably look to maybe move out, maybe one of these defender transfers is just not worth it though. Saka to Palmer next week maybe, or a defender transfer next week maybe. Not sure, man. Not sure. But Jackson to Solanke with a view to wildcard in 12, because then you can deal with your doubles, because Spurs play City in 12, so you could get rid of them. You could get rid of your double Liverpool defence in 12 as well. You can, you know, get Palmer in instead of Saka in game week 12. You can reassess if you still want Bowen, if you still want Calvert-Lewin as well. And you can sort out your bench in 12 as well. So yeah, there you go. There's a whole plan for you, my friend. A whole plan. Obviously, we're not going to say every week for week what transfers you should make, but you know it's a decent plan. Right, next team ID is going in, and this team ID is Finn 230813. Come on down. Let's see what you got for me, my friend. Let's see what you got. Okay, so if this team did wildcard, it was probably a little while ago, maybe game week 4, because there are some cracks starting to show. I would say in the sense of Konate, Robinson, and I don't know. To be fair, the rest of the team is pretty. Maybe Eze you'd include in this. This triangle, Konate, Robinson, Eze, in terms of your starting 11, is probably the biggest issue you have right now. I don't despise it though. You could just keep these players. Let's see. Starboy McGee says, Dan, you've saved my FPL team. Glad to hear it. Thoughts on Cunha? Like Cunha, don't like him for this week. Plays against City. This is not the week to buy Cunha. Next week, better week. Although I should say, I'm going to sneak in my plan in here, because I've got a new plan that might involve not wildcarding. I'll show you that at the end. I'll show you my plan at the end, because I think I've cooked. I like a lot of time to think about FPL during the international break. Think I've cooked. But going back to this team, where do we go? Defender transfers, probably not worthwhile. Is Eze to Johnson the straightforward play here? Probably. Boom. Fixed your team, saved your team. Maybe play Welbeck instead of Rodgers, maybe? I like it. There you go. Sorted. FPL Zach says, sorry to bother you, Dan. I need to help with my accidental free hit activation. Any must-have players for points potential in Game Week 8 would be helpful. Thanks, lad. Well, that is tragic, by the way, that you've accidentally free hitted. I do not envy you. That is rough. But here we go. Who's got the highest expected points for this week? Salah higher than Haaland. Don't believe it. Haaland is a must-have. You could maybe go for Wood. You could consider going for Gordon, particularly if Isak is still out and Gordon's on penalties. Triple Spurs, or at least double. I'd have Solanke and Johnson at a minimum. I'd have Mbermo in there. You can maybe go for like a Maddison or a Kulusevski if you wanted to, or a Pedro Porro in defence. I would probably limit my Arsenal, and I would completely ignore Chelsea and Liverpool and try and find some value elsewhere. Gvardiol would go in. You can maybe take a punt on Foden as well. So there you go. Those are the kind of players I'd pick on a free hit team. Hope that helps. Not that I'm recommending a free hit to anyone. Only if you've accidentally free hitted. That is the only exception. If you somehow, I don't know how one even accidentally free hits. Making some transfers maybe on your phone, and I don't know, do you sneeze and a globule of phlegm comes out of your nose/mouth area and slaps the free hit button as you're about to confirm your transfers? Did your cat take your phone? Do you have a small child at home? I mean a relative. Not that you've somehow acquired a small child. I should probably stop speaking. If you do have a young child who is your son or daughter or younger sibling, did they take your phone free? I don't understand how that could happen to a man. But alas, we must deal with situations. Scott, you're always in the chat. We'll do your team, my friend. We'll reward some loyalty here. We won't just do that, but I mean, okay. So what we got here? We've got a very injured João Pedro. We've got a Jacob Murphy, who is, he's okay. I mean, he's okay until Isak and Wilson are back, which could be this week. We've got Sells potential injury, Saka potential injury. Havertz is absolutely fine. I think Saka and Sells will be fine. But Havertz, I am really confident will be fine. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. But how many free transfers, Scott? I think first priority is probably Eze and Murphy. Right, we've got nothing in the bank there. Eze, I think in general, for a lot of people, Eze to Johnson just looks like a decent move. Just generally speaking. If you've got João Pedro, he probably seems like a reasonably obvious transfer as well. We'd be looking at a Delap, most likely, or a Raul Jimenez. Different people have different preferences on that one. I'm leaning towards... I was leaning towards Raul Jimenez until I found out that he's not going to be on penalties moving forward. So maybe we go for Delap. So, okay, there's two transfers that I think do resolve certain issues in your team. And then you'll maybe sort out Murphy on another game week. I don't know what bro is doing in there. Like, Jacob Murphy... This is the vibes I'm getting. This is the vibes I'm getting. What? Oh, what am I? Open image in new tab. There we go. Okay, it doesn't work. This is the vibes I'm getting for Jacob Murphy. What's the other meme? This is the vibe I'm getting. Who invited my man blood? Bro thinks he's on the team. Should we move on? All right, so let's just go for Ewan. Ewan, you've got a very nice and low team ID. Were you clicking there when the new season started? Were you clicking there, clicking the refresh button, ready to go? 2771. Come on down. What you got for me? Pretty much my team. I think 1, 2. No wait, 1, 2. Actually, no, it's not that. It's not okay. There is a few differences. It's similar to my team, but it's there are actually a few differences here. Mackenzie has sent in a £5 super chat to for the team rating. I really don't want to encourage you guys paying me to rate your teams. I really don't want to encourage that behaviour. But for £5, it's that's £5 goes a long way these days. So I will rate your team next, Mackenzie. There we go. Right. So how do we fix this team? I mean, in general, it looks fine for this week in particular. Like, this team is strong. There's no changes I would make for game week 8. So I'd roll the transfer. Game week 9, I still think having maybe Saka to Palmer. Maybe. Ewan says he's got 1 free transfer, not used wild card. If you haven't used your wild card, you can always just wild card Palmer in 12. I don't think you need to. There's not really much changes here. The team is reasonably strong for 9 as well. It's not ideal having double Arsenal against Liverpool, but the rest of the team is strong enough that I don't think it matters too much. I think you could roll some transfers here for a couple of weeks, mate. I think you're in a strong position. Genuinely. You got 3.2 in the bank as well. Maybe if Calvert-Lewin is disappointing you, you can move him to like Solanke. Or, maybe if you can maybe move Saka to Salah in the following week. I don't know, man. I don't know. Your team is strong. And you've got your wild card. You've got money in the bank. Everything is coming up, Ewan. Ewan, you're looking good, my friend. Mackenzie says, I'll make it 10. Mackenzie, please, I don't want to encourage this behaviour. Please stop. Do not send me money to rate your team. That is not what this is about. Just chill, guys. But I do really appreciate it, and it does help support the channel. Thank you, Mackenzie, bro. I appreciate it. Let's rate your team. So, goalkeeper fine for now. Defence fine for this game week. Again, we've got that double Arsenal against Liverpool next game week, which might need addressing. But I think you're fine for this week. Midfield is strong. Diogo Jota is still preferred. Attack is strong. It's a little weak on the bench because we've got Rodgers and nothing more. Yeah, because we've got like Cannon, Greaves on the bench. Could move to a 4-4-2 with Robinson if Rodgers has a bad fixture. So that isn't an issue that needs addressing eventually. Diogo Jota is a potential sell. Maybe sell next week. So maybe roll this week. Game week 9. Jota out. Who could we bring in? Because you're kind of hitting all the marks of the other main players that are performing well at the moment. You've got Mbeumo, you've got Johnson. Those are the two hype midfielders right now, I guess. You've got Palmer, obviously, but I don't think there's any rush to get Palmer in necessarily. You could go for him. He's kind of an optional guy, right? Yeah, that's the difficulty with if you've got Mbeumo and Johnson, like, who do you bring in? Like, is anyone that you bring in for Jota necessarily better than Jota? Probably not. It's not a great fixture against Arsenal, but FPL is played over more than one game week. So is the move somewhere else? We've got triple Arsenal against Liverpool. Is the move actually Havertz to Solanke? Is that the move in game week 9? Maybe you have another move there. Someone in the chat says Maddison. Yeah, I mean, you could potentially double up on the Spurs midfield, possibly. Maybe Havertz to Solanke is the move, because then you can free up a little bit of budget. Maybe double transfer Palmer in, And that way, and I think it's generally not bad. You've now only got one Arsenal player against Liverpool in 9. You've got Palmer ready, so you've future-proofed your team. Yeah, I quite like that. Yes, you've still got Gabriel, Alexander-Arnold and Jota against each other, but I think, you can't take everyone out. You've got 5. You started with 5 players in that fixture. Now you've got 3. It's an improvement, right? What do you think? Mackenzie, is that a bit better? Maybe for game, but so no transfers in 8, and then 9, maybe that double transfer. Someone in the chat says Foden, no balls. If you had more balls than I do, then if you're a big baller with lots of balls, well, particularly large balls, I don't know. That's very much your business. You don't need to tell me about that. Then sure, go for Foden. Please don't tell me any more about your balls. I don't need to know. Mackenzie says it's valid. I was thinking roll 2 and then move Jota and Havertz out in 9. Yeah, but the problem is, move Jota to who? Because Saka, you do need. It's definitely a case of removing Arsenal and Liverpool players in 9, right? That is definitely the case. And we got to think, okay, not just who we want to remove, but who do we want to bring in who actively improves our team? Who are the big players we want? Well, the big players we all want right now are Mbeumo, Johnson. You already have them, so you're in a great position. Pedro Porro, Gvardiol for defenders, maybe. You could potentially do Gabriel to Gvardiol. That's definitely an option, but, defender transfers right now, I'm just not about it. And then we've got Saka and Havertz there. Palmer is a player a lot of people want right now after the Liverpool fixture. So you've replaced one of your Arsenal and Liverpools with a desirable player there. You replaced your Arsenal forward, with a desirable player there. And Mbeumo, Johnson are probably the only 2 midfielders worth a transfer this week. Unless your team is truly horror in midfield. Palmer, you don't want this week, but you probably do next. And Solanke, I think, is a good move in general at the moment. I mean, you could even go Havertz to Solanke in 8. But I don't know. I do quite like Havertz at the moment. Havertz, I think, is showing better form than Solanke, but Solanke has the better matchups. So it's not a straightforward one, unless you need to free up money to upgrade Saka to Palmer. And you did need to do that. If you wanted to get Palmer, you needed to free up some money somewhere, and Solanke is the play there. I mean, let's have a look. I mean, I am struggling a little bit for midfielders that I think are worth a transfer. So let's look at midfielders kind of priced below your Salahs, Saka's, Palmers. Highest predicted points, Eze, I think we'll override that one. And Mbeumo, we've spoken about. Maddison is in here as well. I think value for money-wise, Johnson is the play, particularly whilst Johnson is nailed now. Gordon, potential, but he's not going to be on penalties for long. Bruno, probably override that one. Then we're on more Spurs players. Bowen. Possibly Bowen. I mean, the fixes aren't amazing for him either. Probably not going to go Bernardo. You could go Foden, I guess. McNeil has the fixtures. Semenyo does not have the fixtures until 11. It honestly, in the midfield area, it's rough out there, man. It's rough. Outside of Mbeumo and Johnson for me. You maybe push. You maybe put McNeil in there, given the fixtures look nice. Ipswich and Southampton in the next 3. So maybe you put McNeil as the 3rd option there. Is there anything you could do there? Could you go Jota to McNeil and use that money to free up Saka to Palmer? That is another option. We'll leave it there though, because I wanted to spend a bit of extra time on that team because I feel very bad that someone sent me 10 English pounds. But there you go, Mackenzie. I hope that does help. That's probably the way I would go. Oh, no. Well, I mean, looking through my super chats here, looks like, yes, it has begun. So, Guna. What kind of Guna? The Arsenal kind? I hope. There'll be no gooning on my streams. Is giving me ID, giving me some Norwegian money. I don't know the conversion rate, so I don't know how thankful to be, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Please stop sending me money to I'll this lot because you've already sent them. I'll do these last two, but please, I don't want to turn this into a paid team racing service. So honestly, spend your money on something else, guys. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. We'll do these last two who have sent IDs with money attached to them, but please no more. And I will say, anyone else who sends me money this stream, I'm not rating your team. I know that sounds very, very poor business model, but it doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't sit right with me. So if you send me money, I'm not rating your team from here on. So this is Guna, who has got Raya, Alexander-Arnold, Pedro Porro, Konate. So yeah, Konate is on the chopping block for sure. Gordon is fine for now. The midfield is fine for now. Munoz is probably a player to remove at some point, so is Ahmad. Where do we go? Any money in the back? So we've got $1 million in the back. All right. How about... I think this is maybe a little luxury, but Konate to Gvardiol, I think works. Can you do Munoz to Gvardiol? Yes. Okay, no, this is the play. Munoz to Gvardiol. And then maybe that allows you to bench Konate for a couple of game weeks. That would work there. You would probably need to downgrade that final defender at some point, but maybe that's a wildcard 12. Maybe that's a wildcard 12 situation. I think this works well for this week. You've not got too much Arsenal and Liverpool, so you're good for 9. Particularly now we can bench Konate. You can maybe bring Konate back in 10 instead of Pedro Porro, where Pedro Porro plays Villa. And you can have that double up on the Liverpool defence there. Outside of that, kind of transfers we want to make, maybe Brennan Johnson might be nice. Brennan Johnson in for Madueke. Madueke's got a pretty poor fixture here as well. Oh, can't quite afford him. Can't quite afford him. All right, well, the way of doing that would be to do Konate out instead. All right, so if you have 2 free transfers, then Konate and Madueke out for... Or you just do 1. You just do Madueke. If you don't have 2 free transfers, you just do Madueke to Johnson. Boom. Next week, Konate to Gvardiol. Boom. You've reduced your Liverpool against Arsenal. You've reduced your Chelsea with the poor fixtures. And there we have it. Mackenzie with another super chat here says, that's on me. Thank you for the options and opinions. Love your videos and streams, Dan. Thank you so much, Mackenzie. You've been really, really generous to stream. I really do appreciate it, mate. Right, genuinely, it really, really does help out the super chats and stuff. Thank you, my friend. And Supercars is going to be the last paid team rating. Oh, it makes me cringe. I don't like it. I don't like doing this. I feel dirty. I feel a bit disgusting. A man should not be made to feel this way in the comfort of his own home, and yet here we are. Vidat, I know you've just sent me money and given me your idea and said, please, Dan. I really feel bad about this, Vidat. I feel really bad about this. Please don't think this makes me feel good. It doesn't. I can't. I have to set a clear tone here. I can't rate people's teams for money. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. Sorry, I'm sorry. In fact, I appreciate the super chat, but I can't do it. Sorry, man. This is the last one. It's only because he sent it before I said this. And this is Supercars, whose team looks... I don't know what to say. Is it perfect? Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. We've got double Liverpool defence, which is probably not perfect right now. But this is a great team. And you guys are saying do Vidat. He's been trying for 30 minutes. Fine. You win. I don't feel good about this. And this is not going to happen again. But no, this team is great, man. Honestly, this is really good, Supercars. You don't need any changes to your team. This is really strong. I would guess you've wildcarded recently to get this team. I think the one question mark is around the double Liverpool defence, but even that, it's not like you've got triple Liverpool, triple Arsenal. You can roll with that for that 1 week, Arsenal versus Liverpool in 9. Yeah, no notes. No notes. Fair play. Right, Vidat. We'll do this quickly. Great team, Supercars. We'll do this quickly because I also feel for the people who haven't got the money to spend. I do not want to start, discriminating based on wealth of whose team is worthy of getting rated. God, I'm so soft. Right, Vidat, this is your team, my friend. Luis Diaz probably starts, so you play him ahead of Semenyo. Everything else. This is a recent wild card again. Vidat, why were you so desperate for your team to be rated? Your team is fine, man. It's fine this week. Next week, maybe you want to get rid of Luis Diaz for. I mean, you could even do it in 8, in either 8 or 9. Brennan Johnson, boom shakalaka. And there we have it. Free up a little cash to splash on someone else later down the line. Yeah, I like that. That or... Yeah, no, that, you know what? That is probably the move. That or Jackson to Slanky in 8. There we go. Damn the socialists. Hell yeah, my fellow comrades. We will not discriminate again. We're gonna take down the man. It's not just for the wealthy. But this team is pretty strong. There's not too many changes needed. One of Luis Diaz and Jackson, that would be your priority transfer out. I would probably lean towards Luis Diaz. I don't think it needs to be done in 8, maybe 9. But having that triple Arsenal and Liverpool for 9 is fine. I think that's the maximum I'd want to have. Is 3. And you get yourself down to 3 Liverpool and Arsenal players in Gameweek 9. I think you're Gucci. All right, done. Team fixed, resolved. Next. Thank you, next. Winter Soldier. Come on down. You have been selected. Your raffle ticket has been drawn at random. 2 free transfers and a wild card still in hand. Thank you for the info, my friend. Let's see what you have. It is a team that still has Hall in it. Again, Hall. Lewis Hall. Probably needs to go. Have we got any backup option for Semenyo? No, because you picked Duran. Why did you buy Duran, man? Got the double up on the. Well, you probably try with Sells and bench Henderson. You got the double up on the goalkeeper as well. Yeah, maybe this team. There's a couple of minor issues, but they're like lots of mini issues rather than anything big wrong with this team. And I think that often happens when you triple up on Salah, Haaland, and like a Saka. Like, it's tough. I think though, having those 3 players though is fine for Game Week 9. Hall is probably one of the players you want to move out. Maybe we can go like just Duran out. Maybe Duran is the guy, and just try out Hall or Robinson and see what happens, because we know that these defender transfers probably not gonna be worthwhile. So let's go for Delap. freed up a little bit of money there. Play Delap instead of Semenyo. So you don't have to play Semenyo against Arsenal. Oh, Lewis. I didn't even notice Lewis there. Oh, my apologies. He can go in as well. Hey, it's better than I thought it was. Actually, not that bad. All right. This looks a whole lot better. A whole lot better. Now the minor issue is you got too much like little bits of money on the bench. Like if you downgraded Henderson to a 4 million and just played Sells every week, if you downgraded Hall to a 4 million and just played one of Robinson or Lewis every week, that would free up 0.8, add that to your 0.5 in the bank. Hey, you got a little bit of money that is very much needed when you are going to triple up Salah, Saka, Haaland, and that issue is resolved. But I think that's more of a long-term issue, maybe something that can be resolved with a wild card if you still have one. I can't remember if you did or not. Wild card still in hand, yeah, okay. Yeah, in that case, you've got these mini issues that aren't really significant. They are not going to affect you week to week. And then those can be resolved in a maybe game week 12 wildcard. And we can go in on some Spurs plays potentially in the short term. And then wildcard 12. So any other way, you know, if it's difficult. I'd like to get to Brennan Johnson, but it's not really possible here. If you just had a 4 million goalkeeper here, Brennan Johnson would be in play. He'd be in play for you, but unfortunately he's not. But oh well. We'll leave it there. That's as far as I can go. Right, Tom 68136. Congratulations, you've been selected. I think we'll do one more after this. I can't go on all night, can I? Can I? Can I? No. I mean, look. If you guys like this, if this video / stream gets a lot of likes, maybe we'll do a 2-hour one next week. Maybe, honestly, if I have some free time in the evenings, I could maybe even do another one before the Game Week 8 deadline. But only if you guys actually want it. Okay, well, we've been using this. We've been refreshing it too much. I think it probably thinks I'm a bot. Does it think I'm a bot? It might be over for us, boys. Have I overloaded the servers from my end? Can I quickly change my IP and try again? We'll try this one more time. Make it a weekly or fortnightly stream. I think weekly is definitely possible. Because I know there's always going to be more people who want their team rating. All right, here we go. Here we go. This team is... The only player who you don't have, who I might want, is Johnson. But you can't get him because you've got Madison, Porro, and Solanke. Which definitely is not a bad thing, right? This team is good. No comments, no notes. Good position. Probably does need a wild card in 12 because you're tripled on Spurs and you have no Chelsea. But maybe free transfers will do that alone. You know, we could look at a game week 12 doing something like Solanke and Saka out for Palmer and Jackson. You'd have to downgrade one more player. Maybe that could be Pedro Porro to Ait-Nouri. Something like that. In game week 12, 3 transfers, and your team looks good from 12 as well. Strong team. Strong team. We got a lot of you guys cooking. I'm liking a lot. Right. One more, and then I'm going to show you my plan before I dip. And if you guys really like this, I'll do another one midweek. And if you if this gets like loads of likes and loads of positive feedback or whatever, we'll not only do another one before deadline, but we'll maybe do a 2-hour one so we can get through some more teams. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I think I would be sick of seeing Haaland in every single team by that point. I don't even know whose team I just imported right there. Who? 5828. Who is that? Abu Bakar. There we go. Tom says, thank you very much. You're welcome, my friend. You're absolutely welcome, my friend. You see, super chats after fine. That's just like a tip in the tip jar. But so it's not a paid service; it's a tip in the tip jar. I'm okay with that, and I'm very appreciative of that, Tom. Thank you very much, my friend. So this is our last team from Abu Bakar. Collins is rogue, very very rogue, but he's in here. You don't really want to... so Semenyo will come out for Rodgers, wouldn't he? So Rodgers will go in there. If Concert is available, do you try him out instead of Robinson? Greaves maybe gets the nod for Everton. And then Calvert-Lewin against Greaves. It's a big head-to-head. I'm seeing a lot of teams with Salah, Haaland and Saka. A surprising amount of teams with this structure. I didn't know there were so many of you out there with this structure, but apparently there is. No Spurs and no real way of getting Spurs either because of the structure. People in the chat saying one more. Do I hear an encore? Is the crowd chanting encore? Wow, I've never had this before. Carlos says, does he even read the chat? Yes, as evidence just then, Carlos. Right. This is difficult. It's so difficult to do like much with these Salah, Saka, Haaland drafts without removing one of Salah, Saka, and Haaland because you're so limited in what you can do outside of those players because of the budget constraints there. I don't think there really is anything I can do with this team. I mean, that's not to say it's a bad team. Certainly for this game week, it's pretty strong. For a couple of game weeks, it's actually pretty strong. But it does look like it needs a bit of restructuring. Somewhere. I'm not really sure how that's going to be done. Maybe it's a case of waiting until game week 12 before a major restructure and doing, again, the Palmer-Jackson moves. Maybe Vardy probably comes out by that point. Can we afford Jackson at this point? We'll probably need to downgrade someone else as well. Damn. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. I don't know what else I can downgrade. These Palmer, Saka, Haaland teams are killing me. Right. There we go. Well, all right. Well, one more. Then this really is the last one. And by the way, guys, let's be perfectly honest. If I could guarantee that it wouldn't be your team being rated, would you still want one more then? No, you probably wouldn't. When you say one more, you just mean my team next. I don't want one more. I want me more. More me, more, please. Right. Well, we're going to pick one at random. So anyone who puts their team in chat for the next 10 seconds, you have a chance. But this really is the last one. This is the last one. Okay. They're all coming in. And then I do still want to share with you my plan, but I imagine as soon as I stop rating teams, everyone is just going to go because they're like, you didn't rate my team. You are a horrible YouTuber and a nasty man. That is the way things go. Right. Let's take this one. Honestly, I'm just taking random numbers from the chat. Just copying and pasting. This is 8970. Come on down. You are the final winner of this evening on this raffle. Okay, what we got here? Henderson, fine. Defense is fine. Yeah, fine. No problems with that. Midfield is strong. Forward line is strong. We're really going to end on a team there's no notes. I think the only minor one of these is maybe Anderson. He's the only guy, but then you're probably going to play Lewis anyway, right? And roll the dice on minutes. This team is... Yeah, this team's good. This team is good. Yeah, no notes. Right, fine. No more. Right, that is actually it now, guys. I'm going to share with you my current plan. Because I've been cooking it up over the international break, and I hope you guys are going to like it. But please do like the stream, like the video, and if you do really like it a lot, we'll do more, as I keep saying. But no, really appreciate you guys joining me for this one. I really do. Of course, do subscribe as well if you haven't done already, and you want those notifications when I am going live and doing more of these. I think this has gone quite well. I think we could probably safely say that we will be doing more. So yeah, make sure you got those notifications on, and you'll get a notification whenever I am doing this. If you still want your team rated and you can't wait until next stream, you can just get an instant team rating by just using the link at the top of the description. Just, yeah, straight up instant team rating. As easy as that. Straightforward. It's a beautiful. So yeah, do consider doing that as well. And let's go through my kind of thoughts. So for this game week 8, probably not looking to make a transfer move. Game week 9, if I do Saka to Palmer, which I could do for free, and Robertson to Ait-Nouri, then I only have 2 players in the Arsenal versus Liverpool game, which is really quite rather nice. I could then, the following game week, do... Oh, actually, no, that's not right. No, I've messed up already. So let's refresh. No, it was close to what I wanted to do, but not quite. So, no transfers to game week 8. Game week 9, Saka and Havertz. Because we'll keep the double Liverpool defence for 1 week. I mean, I could do the Ait-Nouri move as well, but I don't know. To maybe we could maybe go Cunha here, or obviously Ait-Nouri in for Robinson. One or the other. So that would be pretty nice. I actually can't decide which one I prefer. But one or the other. Anyway. Then, in game week 10... So that would be my game week 9 team. Again, pretty strong. Pretty darn strong. I could play Rodgers instead of Havertz, or Vardy maybe, or Smith Rowe potentially. Game week 10 would be something like, probably a roll. And then game week 11, Vardy to Cunha works there. I would still have 1 free transfer by this point, by the way, which is nice. Then, game week 12, I would have 2 free transfers. Havertz to Jackson and Gvardiol to Gabriel. And without any wild card, this would be our team in 12, with still with a wild card in hand. I think that's pretty decent. Probably play Rodgers instead of Johnson that week. But I think that's pretty nice, man. I think that's pretty nice. And then after that, you know, we'd still have a load of money in the bank. Still have 1.1 in the bank. We could think about upgrading Henderson to Raya. We could think about maybe upgrading one of these bench defenders. There'll still be a whole bunch of options because of that money in the bank. So yeah, that's what I'm currently thinking for a little strategy. Which again, yeah, no wildcard needed, and I would have 99% of the players that I want. I mean, if I was to wildcard in 12, what would the differences be? I'd probably have Raya here, and I'd probably pick different bench defenders. Maybe Smith Rowe would change to someone else, but probably not. I mean, I don't know who else I would go for instead of Smith Rowe. So it's like a goalkeeper and 2 bench defenders different to what I would want on a wild card anyway. So is it worth it? Probably not. But if I'm not wildcarding in 12, am I ever going to want a wildcard? Semenyo, yeah, fair point. Semenyo probably would go in here instead of Smith Rowe. But it's not like something that I would have to do. Because Smith Rowe against Wolves at home is not bad. There are some other decent fixtures for Smith Rowe here as well. No, where is it? 12. Yeah. After here, Spurs, Brighton. Maybe that's a good time to sell him. Maybe. So is it maybe 13 to Semenyo? Who does Semenyo play from 13? So you skipped the Brighton game, and you have Wolves and Spurs. Maybe there's some potential there. I mean, Semenyo could even come in technically a little earlier if I maybe don't make the Vardy move and save the Vardy move a little longer. I could actually do Smith Rowe over. Again, these fixtures are decent, and I don't think he's going to be benched that often moving forward. But, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking right now for my team. But we will call it there, guys. We'll call it there. Is Semenyo on pens? I don't think so. I think it's Evan Nilsson on pens, to be fair. But we're going to call it there, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you enjoyed, let me know. Let me know. We'll be back for another video on... It's going to be Tuesday. The next video is going to be Tuesday. Buy, sell, keep, avoid. But there is also going to be a podcast. So podcast is being recorded tomorrow. And that will go out on Tuesday as well. So nothing on Monday. Double on Tuesday. But if you haven't checked out the videos that I've made thus far for Gameweek 8, feel free to go ahead. We made like a wildcard / dream team moving forward for Gameweek 8, which you can check out. And we did a classic tier list video a couple of days ago as well. That was on Friday. So yeah, go check them out. And yeah, I will be going. I'm going to go get some food, play a bit of FC25. I'm going to enjoy my night. I hope you guys enjoy your nights as well. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, people still begging in the chat for one more team rating. Not happening at this point. Honestly, my food is already very much on my mind. It's halfway down my throat at this point. But thank you so much for watching once again. And I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.